Hello and welcome back to the Nonprofit Business Organizational Assessment video series. This is video number 6, and in this video we're going to cover assessing your fiscal management. Now, please answer all of your questions based on your knowledge of your organization's fiscal management activities and policies and procedures. By fiscal management, we mean how does your organization manage the inflow of revenue? So things like donations, sponsorships, event money, maybe products you might even be selling. And how does it manage your expenses? So how are you paying your vendors? How are you paying your staff? Who's authorized to do that? Who is um, able to sign checks? Who's able to open the bank accounts, etc. So those are the questions that we're going to be looking at in this particular series. Now, if you have been proceeding through the other videos to do your nonprofit business organizational assessment without using a Google form, the Google form that we've developed, that's fine. If you are contracting with us or decide to contract with us to help analyze your data and help you come up with a plan, again, please at this point email Jocelyn at Vanconey, VANCONEY.com. It's JOCELYN at Vanconey.com. And we can send you when you do that, we can send you a calendaring link to set up time to work with us. If you're already a client who's working with us, who's watching this video series, just please continue to answer the questions as we've previously discussed and send them to us in the method that we have already discussed with you. So I'm going to get started now on the fiscal management questions. So question number 1 is, does the board review the annual operating budget of the organization before approving it? In other words, is there a process by which your board, maybe you have a financial committee or a finance committee that takes a look at the budget and helps put together the budget before it goes to the board, or maybe the board takes 1 or 2 meetings to approve it, or does the budget just come before them on the day it's supposed to be approved and boom, it's approved? So your answers are yes, no, don't know, or other. Okay, number 2, does the budget coincide with the annual plan? What we're looking for you to think through in this question is, if you've established an annual plan for your organization on the targets and goals you want your organization to hit that year, is the budget, in other words, is your expenses and even your revenue generation, which as a nonprofit business would be in the most likely form of individual donations, corporate donations, foundation grants, corporate grants, money that comes from events, and possibly money from certain products or services that you sell, contracts that maybe you have, depending what type of organization you are. But does your budget match up with that? So is your expenditures in line? So if you're proposing that you're going to have need to add 3 new staff members because you're going to be expanding a program, and you've got that expense in your budget, but your revenue doesn't show where that other source of revenue is coming from or projected revenue is coming from, it wouldn't be in your annual plan and your budget would not coincide. Okay. Question number 3. Does the board use the budget process to decide how to allocate resources? So, for those of you who are not familiar, the board should be looking at during the budget and as the budget process is taking place, how resources are allocated. So, in other words, how many staff are going to be paid? How much is the rent going to be? How much is it going to cost? Say, if you're feeding people, how much is it going to cost for that food? How to properly distribute that revenue across all of the expenses. So, your answers are yes, no, don't know, other. Question number 4. Does the board receive financial reports on a regular basis that are understandable, accurate, and timely? So by understandable means the board can easily follow the financial structure of your business. Now this may deviate from one country to another as to what the acceptable standard is. Here where I am, we're talking about, is your board getting your profit and loss statement? Are they getting the balance sheet? Are they getting the budgets to actual expenditure statements? Sometimes it could also be, do they have the cash flow and cash flow projections? Are they accurate? In other words, have you balanced by the time the board gets it? Have you balanced the bank accounts against what you're showing in the accounting system, and possibly against what's being shown in the donor management system as to what donations came in, to make sure everything balances? And timely means that the reports that the board are getting are within, depending on how often the board meets, but at a minimum that they're getting those reports monthly or quarterly, to look at for that last period that just closed in relation to where their meeting is. So your answers are yes, no, don't know, or other. Number 5, does the board require, if mandated based on revenue size, an annual audit and consider all recommendations made in the independent auditor's report? Yes, no, don't know, not applicable, other. Question number 6. Does the board require a third-party financial review annually if an audit is not legally mandated? Yes, no, don't know, not applicable, other. Question number 7. Are there adequate financial management structures in place to manage funding contracts and grant resources? Yes, no, don't know, not applicable, or other. Now, as this is the financial section, and depending how old your nonprofit business is, and also depending on what the level of knowledge is, with everyone who's watching this video within your organization, you might have some questions on these terms, or what's meant about these terms that I've not already covered in the video. If that is the case, please email us at jocelyn@vanconi.com, and we will send you, we will try to clarify for you so that you can answer the questions within, for your organization. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next video.